Welcome to Lilybit's Virtual Visions. This is a series of interviews that takes you on a journey through the immersive world of virtual reality. I am your host, Lilybit, Virtualis Rem, but you can call me Lilybit. And I am here to guide you through the landscape where art, technology, and human imagination collide. Each episode will bring you exclusive interviews with visionary creators who are pushing the boundaries of virtual reality. My guests all share a common thread, a passion for harnessing the power of VR to shape new realities and explore the endless possibilities of VR as a platform for creative expression and innovation. So join me, sit back, and let's embark on a journey through the endless possibilities that creative artists and virtual worlds will bring to you. Subscribe today, and together we'll explore the limitless creativity of the virtual reality realm. Hi everybody, my name is Lilybit, and I'm here today with a very good friend. He's a world explorer, a VR world explorer, and he does wonderful content in several social media platforms. He has agreed to have a chat with us so we can get to know him a little better. UmbraScrolls, thank you very much for doing this with me.
Thank you, Lilybit. I'm UmbraScrolls. I do world showcasing on several platforms, like you said, mostly TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram.
Umbra, you don't mind if I call you Umbra?
No, that's perfect.
Excellent. Can you describe, your journey into the world of virtual reality exploration in particular? And also the fact that you do sort of content creation on your travels. What inspired you, to get started, and how did it all begin?
So, the beginning of my journey, even before content creation, just getting into VR in general, was with the pandemic. Because before the pandemic, I'd get together with friends, and I'd go out all the time. But with the pandemic, of course, everything shut down. We couldn't do that as much, and I still had a itch to do things socially. And I had tried VR a couple times before that, but I didn't really get it. But I did realize that there was a social aspect. So I'm putting the headset on again. I started drinking in VR and socializing with people, and it was better than going out, really, because there's a few reasons. The alcohol is cheaper because you buy it and you put it in your house instead of paying the exorbitant prices out there. The people that you're surrounded with are people that you like, because if you don't like somebody, you can just block them in here, which is amazing. There's no last call. You can drink as long as you want to. No one's going to send you home. You're already home. And the amazing fact that if I'm just alone and I don't want to be alone, it just takes 1 second to put my headset on and boom, there's people that are wonderful right there instantly. So that's what really got me started, and I started getting close with some people, and we started going on adventures, and I wanted to save these memories and share them with the world. So I started taking pictures of the adventures I'd go on. What that involved into is I realized that this game is called VRChat, so a lot of the popular worlds are filled up because people want to go there to chat. But there's other worlds that are beautiful and worth seeing that are underappreciated, I would say, and I felt like needed to be seen by more. So I started showcasing those specifically and started moving my content into a world showcasing side of things. And getting that out there to people that I feel haven't really been seeing it, because every time you get on here and you look at the worlds page, all the popular worlds are the places where everybody is, and that stays the same constantly. So that's really what got me into doing doing what I'm doing with my world showcasing.
Yeah, that's a very good point about socializing in VR. That's one aspect that people don't really understand, that you can be in your room all alone and all of a sudden you're in a big, nice party full of people that you like. And if you are drinking, you don't have to worry about driving home and getting into an accident or trouble or losing your license because you're drink driving. You don't have to worry about that. You're home already. And as soon as you have enough, you just have to take off your headset and go to bed, and you're safe. Especially, for guys, it's not so much something that you would actually consider, but for us girls, it's the safety issue. It's very, very important. So you can still be at home, nicely saved. The real person in the world is safe. You're drinking, nobody's going to put anything on your drink, nobody's going to attack you, nobody's going to hurt you, but you can still get that socializing and get to know people. So for in a girl, the side for a woman, I think is actually the best way to socialize to start with and get to know people and then meet them in the real world if that's what you want to do.
100%.
Okay, so now another aspect that I wanted to ask you of your world travels. What's the most memorable or the captivating virtual reality worlds that you have explored? What made them stand out to you in particular? Is there one or two that you sort of still stay in your mind?
Yes, this question is the one that I have the most amount of answers to. So I've broken it down into 5 categories that I'll just briefly go over. The first category I would talk about is worlds that you can learn from. So I've got 3 marked down in this category, but it expands much past this. Same for all of the categories. There's going to be much more than the ones that I mentioned. But for worlds that you can learn things from, there's worlds such as Solar System, which is a world that takes place in space, where you can go there and you can, of course, see the solar system for one. 2, you're able to watch the death of the dinosaurs, like the asteroid that kills them, and you can watch that happen, which of course you learn in school, but seeing it happen is a completely different thing. And a couple other things happen in that world that you can witness. I won't get into it. We'll let the audience take a look at that. Another couple is the joy of painting, which is where you can learn how to paint from Bob Ross. He'll step by step teach you how to paint through his episodes, and you have all of the supplies there. You don't have to go out and buy them. And the last one I've got marked down for this category is sailing, where if you can just learn how to sail. It's got a boat, and you can move the sails. You can put the anchor down, and it looks legit. It's beautiful. So worlds where you can learn things. That's category A. B would be some of the game worlds, such as Dark Scanner, which is like a dark room where you have a scanner and it shoots particles, and it's like a dark maze basically, and you gotta find your way through the maze with the particles, which is insane. Something that it would be very different on a 2D game. In here, it's like a whole different experience. JSR Festival, where you're skateboarding. I think technically you're rollerblading, but in VR it feels like you're skateboarding, which is insane. You go around and graffiti the walls and stuff. Beautiful. Minesweeper, which you've played, I'm sure, on the computer. In here it's a whole different thing. It's a board where you got to explore it. Love it. One of the best ones in this category is Pokemon Wild Area, where you can go out and you get a Pokeball and you can just catch Pokemon. And it's amazing. It does the whole thing like in the anime where it rolls and the light blinks. Amazing. And yeah, we'll call that category. Move on to category C, which is hangout worlds, such as driving. It's called Driving City at Night, and it's a bunch of different vehicles. And yes, it seems you've been there. Beautiful place. If you go out there with some friends, you can all get in the same car and do a little road trip together, where you're driving and you go up to the pier and you can look over the city. Beautiful. Another world called Ambient, where there's raindrops happening all over the place, and you can take metal, all kinds of different metal, and put them in the raindrops, and it'll make music. And you can change the tempo and stuff by raising it. It's insane. Love that world. Last one for the hangout category that I've got marked down at least is CN's ball pit, which is a giant ball pit where you can like move the balls and you can change the gravity so they can fly up in the air, and you've got different objects such as like something that will repel the balls and another thing that can suck the balls in. So if you use the repellent and you put the magnet on top, it like goes all around and then you're like in a circle that's surrounded by these balls. An insane little hangout world. I am the World Showcase man, so I've got lots of worlds, so this question's gonna go on for a minute. We've only got 3 more categories. Yes, so going from hangout worlds, we would go into horror experiences, which in VR, that's one of like the hallmarks. I know yourself, you're not into that at all, but it's insane. I'm sure you're familiar with Slender, the 8 Pages, like Slender Man. He was all over the internet a long time ago. Yeah, you can do that in VR. Yeah, beautiful. It's insane in VR. Very, very spooky. I just recently did a post about It Lives, which is, the Stephen King's famous character It.
Yeah, the clown.
That one's spooky as all hell. Yeah, exactly. And then unique ones that aren't like taken from the outside world, such as Noir, Call of the Void, which is like a noir-esque world, hence the name, and it's got giant metal things that have like lights that are looking at you. It's wild. Yeah, a lot of memorable worlds. We'll go into the last 2 categories. This 4th category here I really like, which is museum worlds or IRL places brought into VR. So there's museum worlds that are VR paintings, which are insane, like, because a normal painting's like a 2D thing, but a VR painting's like all directions. Those museums are insane. They've got IRL places brought into VR, such as, I might butcher this name, but Cave Okinawa, which is like a cave, I believe, in Japan. That people go spelunking in. You can experience that within VR without having to actually be too claustrophobic like in real life. And a Swedish museum, which is like this old rich couple's place, the Hallwall Museum. I might be mispronouncing that, but just beautiful. The tapestries and like the ceiling, it's insane. And I love that. Like, I would never see that place unless I went actually to Sweden, which would cost a lot more money. Putting on my VR headset and like taking a whip around. It's beautiful. The last category we have here is puzzle worlds. Puzzle games on their own are like brilliant, but in VR it's like the level of like options that they have for this is insane. The 2 I've got marked down is Frame of Mind and Magnetize. So if the audience is watching, they can look those up. Beautiful worlds, just a great time.
Yes, I know what you're talking about exploring all these fantastic worlds. The one that I remember, you said about the sailing. I've been on one of those boats. I think it might be the same one because it's very realistic. And the thing that sticks in my mind about that particular world is that if you fall or jump on the water, a shark comes and eats you. And I'm terrified of sharks. I don't like scary stuff. I've never jumped. I'm always bringing people to show them, and I always tell them about the shark, and everybody jumps to make sure. And I've had people, like friends, send me pictures, says, yeah, it is true. Here's a photograph of the shark. But I've never done it. I'm not brave enough to do that. Yeah.
It does, it's beautiful. It does the da-da, the sound from the fucking movie, yeah? Oh, it's so good. Yeah. Oh, no. Beautiful.
There is another world that I know it does have some sort of shark-type creature. I don't know whether it is an actual shark. It's there's another world called wait, let me just remember the name of the world. It's by Dr. Morrow, same guy that did I'm so sleepy today. What's it called?
Yes.
Olympia. Yeah, that's it. The world that I'm thinking of, they've got another
Olympia,
creature.
yeah.
Olympia. There's an area, it's a very big world, and really, really nice. There's a lot of areas to see, the colors are beautiful. Well, there's an area where you can climb up to this sort of mountain where there's a big sort of spiky sort of temple type of construction, and it's got like a little lagoon and you see a fish or some sort of sea monster, circling. Well, if you jump onto it, it eats you, and there's a big scream when you get eaten, and then you get respawned back to the beginning of the map. I've never jumped. Again, I take people, I show them, and they all jump, but not me. So I don't know what it's like.
No, that's amazing. I've been to Olympia. You can like sail the boats there too. Not as good as the Sailing World, but I didn't find that. I gotta go back there, I guess.
And you can fly on the eagles as well. There's 2 eagles flying around. If you go to another mountain,
you can jump on those.
You can actually, you go onto the nest, and if you click on the egg, it puts you on the eagle and it flies you around the map.
Okay, that's beautiful.
Yeah. There's
These
a lot of little
things on maps.
Exactly, and that's why it's nice to talk to other explorers, because you get these little hints of, oh, have you tried this, or have you tried that? It's and the colors are beautiful.
Beautiful.
And Olympia has also a nighttime version of it. Have you been to the nighttime?
Oh, it did have a day and night. Yeah, I only showcased one of them, but I did see that it had 2.
I also did just the daytime, which is still quite sort of moody in the colors. It's not like really bright. And the nighttime is, because it's nighttime, it's a bit more scary. So I don't go there. But I know that it is. I've been once. And when I realized it was really dark, I thought, no, I can't do this. So I just left. Umbra, how do you think virtual reality technology is changing, the way that, people consume and interact with the content, in social media, for example? What unique advantages and challenges as well, does the VR present, compared to the traditional media,
So when you're in VR, you are constantly having content in your face that is being advertised to you. Even if you're not aware of it, you're constantly seeing avatars and worlds and assets that are constantly being thrown in your face. So it's just like going into a store, and when you're on your way out and they've got like the chocolate bars right there at the cash, it's an impulse buy. So people in general have to be able to have good reins on that and not buy instantly. I know a lot of people that see an avatar and they instantly buy it and they wear it for like a week and then they buy another avatar. Yes. Now, if you have the money to do this sort of thing, that is completely fine. Advertisements aren't bad if you're able to afford and maintain these things, but for others, it could be like an impulsive thing where they don't even care about the money that they got, and they'll just buy up everything while they have the money and then be screwed for the rest of the month. So that's one thing where in VR it's constantly happening every minute you're in here. So you have to have a good hold on that, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very, very true. It's a very good point, because I have heard as well through watching a different. It was actually a TV show on Netflix about designers, fashion designers, and one of their tasks or challenges that they had to do was to design outfits, female and male outfits that were actually going to be turned into a digital outfit for virtual reality. And I believe it was to do with Horizon Worlds. So, and I think the company was actually a brand, is called, I think it was Adidas. Don't get me wrong. I don't know if it was Adidas or Nike, but one of those really big brands were actually commissioning this. So, like you say, that option or that ability to buy things that are not even physical, because it's just pixels really, in VR, it's very much starting to emerge. Yeah, the technology is moving that you are actually have like an alternative life in virtual reality, and by, luxuries as well. But like you say, it's very dangerous.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, excellent. Because maybe this is a good time to kind of explain the reason for my interviews, and then I'm picking people that work or play in VR or use it as an alternative pastime, is because there's a lot of the general population don't quite sometimes understand how vast the virtual reality world has grown since the very beginning. At the very start of it, it was all just these little games where you walk on a plank on top of a really high skyriser. You have to jump towards your oblivion, because you're going to obviously be killed if you did that in real life. The roller coaster ride, that's are the ones that stick in my mind for the very first time I tried virtual reality. Yeah, and maybe just have a look at maybe a 360 video or a photograph, but that was it really. And that's or you've got the scary things where the spiders jump at you. That's the things that people remember when you say virtual reality. Oh yeah, I've done it, and they think that's all it is. When in reality, there's more. There's a lot more to it. It's a completely different world, literally a universe full of possibilities. And that's what I'm trying to showcase, that you can be creative. In this particular, I am concentrating more on the creative side of it. And that's why the list of people that I'm interviewing use virtual reality as a platform to be creative and explorers. Because it's not just your explorations, it's also the photographs that you do create to capture the essence of what it is that you're trying to showcase.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yes. On this note, back in the not too far past, the internet was born, and back then, a lot of everyday people didn't understand it at that time, in that day and age. They didn't know what was happening. They didn't know what it could be used for. They didn't understand the utilizations of it. The same thing is happening right now with VR. And the people that get in early, they made it in the internet when it first launched. The same thing with right now. VR is going to take off. It's already been doing it throughout the years since its birth. It's going to continue. A lot of people refer to it as the internet 3.0. The reason being is VRChat is literally another social media platform. It's a place where you can add people, where you can save memories, where you can meet. It's another version of the internet. This is the next stage, and people that don't know about it, they're just sleeping on the internet like they did back in the day. Yes.
Definitely. Yes, I can see what you mean by that. It's so true. It is, we are all pioneers of a new world. Just like when Christopher Columbus discovered America, and then it became like the big thing back then. It was like the gold rush and all those fortunes and new cultures and all that. Adventures. We are the pioneers. We're the Christopher Columbus of the modern age, I think. I'd like to consider myself as an explorer
100%.
too. Yes.
Yes.
Umbra, Could you share a particular challenging or immersive experience that you've had while exploring virtual worlds? How did it impact you? And how do you believe it might affect others who experience it? In particular, if you've ever been, somebody has joined you in your adventures, a completely sort of fairly new to VR, they've just got their headsets, they join you, and then so you see their reaction to some of the experiences that you provide for them. Can you just, sort of share some of those experiences with us?
100%. The thing that I think I'd like to bring up is sort of a touchy subject, but I would call it the people problem. And what I mean by that is when you are in a space that has so many different communities all in one place, there's always going to be drama, which is not fun to deal with, but it has to be, unfortunately. Luckily, I'm good at navigating these issues, at least in my community. The issues that have come up, no matter how problematic they are, I'm able to put them to bed and move on past them. The problem with a lot of others that aren't myself, I suppose, because there's a lot of people that do, just like me, are able to coast through these things fine. But for others, it impacts them heavily because they're directly being impacted by like toxic men or just like bad situations, and it hurts them deeply. It makes them not want to be in this space anymore, which is really upsetting. So navigating through that is a very difficult thing to do. I've gone through many issues in my community, and I've addressed them. The effect that it has on them due to these bad actors hurting them through their toxic ways, or not even, like, some of them don't even understand that they're being toxic or they're being bad, which is problematic. I'm known kind of in my community for giving too many chances to people. But when bad things happen, I will cut them off and I will let them know this is what you did and this is the mistake that happened, and because of that you are losing the people that you've grown close to. You're losing me, you're losing the people you hurt, and the only good thing in this is it tells the bad actor this is like a wake-up call moment, where if you do like even one of the people that you've been hanging out with, you will lose all of them for being that bad person. If you don't smarten up with the next group that you're with, then you're gonna have the same thing happen where all of them leave you too. But it's still, even when the learning moment happens for that bad actor, it can still negatively affect people that were impacted, where they don't feel as trusting, and I've had a lot of people just leave the virtual space for a while because they've had too many bad experiences with these bad actors. Because there is a lot of them. This is the real world, but like the mask is much more real in here. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very, very, very true. I think I understand what you're talking about, because especially with newbies, or people that just started in VR, they really see it as a game with no consequences, because they kind of see a character, pixels, and they don't realize that behind every avatar, no matter what the avatar looks like, there is a person, a real person with real feelings. And I think it's after they've been here long enough to understand that. They understand that there is consequences to their behavior. That's when they start to grow and understand that this is not just a game or like a reality show. It's actually real life in a way. It's an alternative real life. And the fact that you're able to help your community to kind of grow from that and move on and learn from it, I think is wonderful. It's beautiful.
Yes.
Going back to the travel adventures and the exploring of the worlds, what sort of tools, equipment, or do you use a particular software that you prefer to create and document, your VR experiences, and also to create the content of those travels? Are there any specific tips or techniques maybe that you want to offer some aspiring new content creators that want to get into the context of virtual reality?
Well, one of the main tools that I use is luckily provided by VRChat itself, which is the VRChat camera, which has a lot of functions. So if anybody's trying to get into this, I would strongly suggest they spend some time with that camera and learn the different functions of it, because you can surprisingly do a lot with that camera, which is an amazing tool that's just like in the game, which is beautiful. From there, a excellent tool to use is something called OVR Toolkit, which is just a thing where you can have like an overlay of, like, if you're a streamer, you can have your chat just like on your wrist. You can see your chat. If you have a script, you can have that just in front of your face on like a computer screen that's right in front of you. It's a very useful tool. From there, I use OBS to do my recordings. Like if I'm ever recording something, OBS is the instant go-to. And then for editing, Adobe Premiere Pro would be something that one would use to edit. I know there's a lot of alternatives, but that's the setup that I use. Outside of that, for my VR setup, I've got an index with 4 base stations and 3 Vive trackers for my legs and my waist. So that's pretty well the setup I use. One of the biggest tips I'd give to new creators is take your time. You're going to run into issues. There's going to be complications. This is a complicated technology. It's very different than IRL streaming, which has its own issues, but this is like multitude. You've got like a blindfold on your face, and it's a very complicated thing. Make sure your mics are set up properly, because that's a very complicated thing. And it sucks to get through like 2 hours of creating content and then realize that like one of the mics wasn't set up properly to record. So take your time, make sure things are going right, and don't be upset with yourself if you make mistakes. Just get back in there and keep going.
Yeah, and practice. Get out there and just every opportunity you can, just practice, because as they say, practice makes perfect. That is very good advice. I can totally relate to everything that you have said. Very good.
Yes.
In what ways do you believe virtual reality can be used to enhance, for example, things like education, entertainment, which is already happening regarding the entertainment, through games and things like that. But education or other aspects of our lives that maybe we haven't really considered yet. Can you provide any examples or personal stories that illustrate that sort of potential?
Yes, I can. This is probably the second question that I've got the most answers to. So, for one, within VR, you can learn things that you would otherwise never have access to in the real world. Say somebody's landlocked, they live in a place that doesn't have a lake or like the sea anywhere near them. Those people can still learn how to sail a boat because we have the sailing world that I mentioned. If you don't make a lot of money and you can't really justify spending money on the tools to paint, buying one VR headset, you have the tools to paint for life. There's a million programs in here where you can paint, you can make beautiful virtual art. So the learning aspect is huge all on its own right on that end of things. Many in VR use the platform. People that I've known have told me this themselves, that they have different anxieties and issues in the real world with going up to a random person and talking to them, or even like buying something at a grocery store. They've just got these anxieties that they've got to work through. VR is a perfect place to do that, because if you go up to somebody and you have a bad experience, you can just block them. Boom, they're gone. It's a beautiful thing for those that need to work on socializing. So outside of entertainment and education, a big aspect that I think is affected by VR, and some may laugh at this, but it's dating. The thing that we can get into on this is, in the real world, the options we have for dating are very limited. We can go on dating websites, there's that, but a lot of people struggle with that. Otherwise, you can, if you're young, you can meet somebody in school, Afterwards, you can meet somebody at work. Otherwise, you're like rolling the dice and hoping something happens. You just happen to run into somebody at a beach that happens to jive with you just right. In here, you can meet somebody, you can really get to know them, and then you can make steps forward from there. I've known people that have met in this game and are living together in real life right now, which is a beautiful thing. Now there is bad sides to dating in here. I know a lot of toxic people that are just in one relationship, out of it, and into another one instantly because they're very dependent and they don't love themselves, so they've got to depend on other people no matter how bad that person is. That's bad. That has to be dealt with, but that's a personal thing that an individual has to work on their own. So we still have to be smart about online dating. You have to communicate, you have to be realistic. People meet from different continents and they get into a relationship and they never talk about the future. They never talk about who's going to move where, if that's a possibility, where you are financially in your lives. You've got to be open about these things, because otherwise you can get into a thing where you both have strong feelings for each other, and 5 years down the road you realize that still for another 10 years you're not going to be able to be together in real life. And if that's something you're okay with, that's okay, but you still should have talked about it in the early days to understand that these are important things that have to happen. But I still think that VR is the future of dating. Yeah. Yes.
I totally agree with you, and the fact that you do actually mention it's not just all rosy and wonderful and just a fantasy world. It can be very realistic when it comes to emotions, that's for sure. Like you, I have also met people that meet here as friends, and then now they are actually in a proper relationship. These two friends,
right,
they were from separate groups. I actually introduced them, and then now they are actually living together, and they are they're engaged to get married, and it's wonderful. But I also have another friend that met a girl from another country, and the logistics of, like you say, the financial situation is not that easy sometimes, and of actually meeting in real life. So you do have to be very realistic, but at the same time, it's a perfect platform to practice dating, especially when you mentioned before about people that do suffer from anxiety or they're a little bit shy, like myself. It's a good way to come in and practice run kind of thing. It's kind of like a simulation, but the best thing about it is that you're doing the simulation with real people, real emotions. So then you start to really learn, if I behave in this way, it's going to hurt someone. If I behave that way, someone can take advantage of me. So it's a big learning curve that keeps you in a way safe. I mean, I'm not going to say it doesn't hurt to get emotionally affected by somebody's betrayal, but at the same time, it's not in the real world yet. So you're still kind of protected in a way that person can be cut off from your life, and then you're okay. You can't do that sometimes in the real world. It's not as easy, especially if it's someone that you met at work or at school. You still have to go and see them, and it just keeps hurting. This is a little easier, I think. So I totally get your point. Very good.
Yes. We sort of spoke about this kind of concept in the first question even, the concept of safety for women, which is huge in the dating aspect. We were talking about that relating to drinking. In here, or rather in the real world, if you were trying to date somebody, you've got the concern of are they going to be extremely weird? Are they going to be stalkerish? Are they going to pretend they want me just so that they can have sex with me? These are issues that a lot of women deal with in the real world. In here, if you're with somebody and you really get to know them in VR, the odds of them being somebody that's just trying to fuck you is way down. That still can happen. They're just trying to get the ERP fix, I guess. But if you really get to know somebody, you spend time with them. In here, it's very different than the real world, where you've got people trying to affect your human body in negative ways. So I think the safety for women in dating and online spaces is a lot better.
Definitely. Like when you mentioned the ERP, at the end of the day, it is just role play. So it is kind of like a practicing. It's not real. It's not affecting your real body physically, only emotionally. It's your mind that's going to be affected more than anything else. So it is a much safer place for women. Like you say, the fact that we could be not just taken advantage of or used, but in the real world, unfortunately, we could get murdered, so easily.
Right.
So it's such a scary thing that's why I believe dating in VR is a little safer for women in particular. It's difficult because it does have logistic issues. The fact that like you say, you could meet your dating pool basically grows from just your the area where you live, or maybe the country where you lived. It can be the whole world. You can meet someone literally from the opposite end of the earth and fall in love. It can happen, but at the same time, there's a lot of people that don't take it serious. So you do have to be very careful how to approach it. Be very realistic, and don't expect too much too soon. That's for sure.
Yes. Wise words.
Going back to the theme of how the virtual reality industry is evolving, what trends or developments do you find most exciting about, and promising, for the future of VR exploration and, in creating content for social media, as well as digital art or creative endeavors? What do you think, what's coming next, in your opinion?
When I speak to this answer, I want to speak to things that I hope to see come, and I hope to see a lot more real-life stuff happen. A lot more museums and IRL places being brought to life in VR, so that if you don't have the money to go travel the world, you can just experience it in VR. I love that. The stuff that already exists in here, I want to see more of it. That's one thing. Another thing I wish to see is sports. Have you heard of Echo Arena or Echo VR?
Yes. It closed recently.
Yes. It did close recently, and it's a shame. It's the only VR experience that had its own league. A lot of games on desktop, they have their own leagues. This one was the only one in VR that did, and it was beautiful, and it was loved by a lot of people. And then the metaverse had to go ahead and shut it down. Very upsetting. An amazing experience that I have a lot of really good memories from. I hope to see more games like that, and hopefully that exact game show itself again in the future. That's what I'm hoping for on that end. Another thing is I've currently, with the time that I've already spent in these spaces, I've loved watching the growth and the development of events and different club worlds. I'm looking forward to see how that changes and expands as is. And the final talking point on this one is age gating content. I would like to see more developments for making sure kids aren't in adult spaces. It's a very important thing that needs to happen. Yes.
Yeah, that's for sure. I totally agree with you on that respect, because at the moment it's pretty much like the Wild West. Everybody's everywhere, kids, adults, and all kinds. So it has to be better solutions to keep children safe. That's for sure. I totally agree.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that's awesome. Now, I've got one more question that I like to ask all my guests, and it refers to the use of avatars, because I'm very interested in that sort of side of the VR experience. As you know, humans are very visual. We actually rely a lot on that sort of thing, and they say that judging a book by its cover, that sort of thing, is that we always tend to sort of look at the person of what they look like, and then we tend to make assumptions about them. But so when it comes to an avatar here in VR, because you can choose the avatar that you want to play with, you could be a pizza, a talking pizza, you could be a hot dog, can be a little cuddly toy, a little cat, anything. Or you can be an e-boy or an e-girl or anything like that. Do you think that the avatar a user or a player picks tells something about who they are, about their personality traits?
I think it can. I don't think it always does. It's funny we mentioned this. A couple weeks ago, I was out at a drinking night, which is a very popular world for those that might not play this a lot. But I was at a drinking night, and I was in a e-boy avatar, and somebody got a truth, and it was to like reference me. And so like we play these games for those that don't know the drinking night environment, that like you can randomly get asked to say something about people in the room, and it'll even sometimes call out a specific person's name. So they called out my name, and I had just shown up, and the person there didn't know who I was, and they were only judging me based off of the avatar that I was in. They saw I was an e-boy, so they made statements along like the ERP fuckboy type thing, and that kind of concept. So people do 100% judge off of what they see, and those judgments might not be wrong, because I'm not that type of person, and if we had gotten to know each other more, it would have easily been recognized. And then the funny thing is, if I meet this person in a different avatar, and then I switch to an e-boy avatar, those worries are completely gone. So I have an avatar that I wear where if I'm going into a place and I don't know anybody, I will switch into it because I know it's not an e-boy, and it kind of like jives with people. Like it's more like a kind of casual avatar where people like see it and they won't think this is like a fuckboy. And I can kind of get in the door better and like talk to them and hang out, and then I can switch to my e-boy avatars and like hang out in something that I'm cool with vibing in that doesn't like push them away right away. But people do have those filters. Yeah.
Definitely, I agree with you. Yeah, especially e-boys, I think they get a lot of bad rap. They're my favorite, to be honest, as an avatar. I'm not saying as a person. The traits that are associated with an e-boy are not necessarily what I kind of gravitate towards. It's about the fact that the creation of an e-boy avatar, it's very intricate. You can be very creative with those type of avatars. Just like fairies avatars are also very intricate, and you can do a lot of very amazing creative stuff to them. In the same way, furry avatars also have sometimes the wrong connotations in these games.
Stigma,
people,
especially the new users. Yeah.
That's the word I was looking for. The stigma, which is not fair, because it takes all kinds of different people. People that maybe want to be different. Yeah, you're right about that. The stigma of the e-boys is sad, in the fairy avatars as well. It's just unfounded, because a lot of the people that do tend to pick fairy avatars, they're either very creative and they just want to be very individualistic about their look. So that is very, very true about being judged by the avatar that you pick. And the second part of the question is, quite kind of the same thing in a way. It's like, do you think, like you just explain it, depending on the avatar that you wear, people treat you differently? And you kind of answered it, when you said that if you show up to a world where nobody knows you, and you show up with an avatar that people have a bad experience from an e-boy from the past, they seem to assume that everybody that wears that kind of avatar will be like that. So that was my question.
Yeah.
Do you get treated differently by the avatar that you wear?
Yeah, 100%. Let me find this. I kind of like him too. He might be my new one for videos. But let me pull this guy up here. Yeah. He's a much smaller load than the one I am now. Mm-hmm. Okay, let me know when you can see me.
Oh my god, an alien. Okay. I have seen you in that.
It's like a chill little alien dude, yeah? It's just like more approachable somehow. I don't know how this gray alien's more approachable, but it is. It's just he's like, I think he works for my content creation for my next move when I start doing videos again, because it's like an alien that travels worlds and has new experiences, it just kind of works. But yeah,
it's a new visitor.
Just kind of chill with people in this.
Yeah.
And like people don't like feel like I'm trying to get with them in this.
That's true. That's very true. That's why a lot of guys wear those little cat avatars, because it's
dude, those little fuckers.
Yes, a lot of them are very sneaky because they are trying to get with girls, and that's the way to approach a girl without being too how you say that? Oh, what's the word?
Red flaggy. I don't think that's the word, but basically,
giving
off the red flags.
Exactly. The wrong connotations about like, oh no, this guy just wants to use me, or they feel intimidated by it, But I have
so there is manipulative parties.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. The avatar can be a thing for good, to represent who you are, but also a tool to deceive people. That's for sure. Those little cats, they come in, you're like, oh, you're so cute, and you actually get and touch them and pet them. So the person starts to eventually talk to you. Oh, and they're very mute all the time. Usually they're mute. Then after a little while, maybe a couple of times that they come in, they friended you, and you're like, yeah, it's just a cat. I'll my friend. And then they're coming back again. And eventually they start talking to you, and that's a way for them to, in a non-threatening way, get to know
weasel their way in, yeah?
Exactly. Yeah. I have the other type where they put a girl avatar. They don't talk. So that happened to me. And we're in a party, we're dancing, and as you know, I do love to dance. And then this other girl comes dance with me, and we're like having fun, and I'm thinking, that's awesome, because there's not enough girls playing compared to the quantity of men playing in the game. So it's always nice to have a girl that you can be friends with as well. So I'm always like, oh yeah, sends me a friend request, and I'm like, yes, this is fantastic. We like dance, with girls. I accept the friend request. 5 minutes later, he starts talking to me. It's a guy, he just wants to get a friend request sent. So that I didn't like, because I thought that was very deceitful. He should have called and say, hey, I'm a guy. I just like to wear girl avatars, which I have a lot of friends that do that, and that's fine. But the fact that he didn't say anything, send me the friend request, I accepted, then he starts talking, that's a red flag for me.
100%. Going back to our conversation about dating in this space, you've really got to spend a lot of time with the people that you hang out with, and I've been playing for years, as of you. So if you've known somebody for years, that's when you really definitely, if somebody's stuck around for 2-3 years, you know that person's what they've seemed to be so far. Nobody can hold up a facade that long. So yeah, it's really important to not give your trust too early. Always keep a keen eye out for bad actors, because some of them can hide for a while, but 3 years or so, you'll probably be good.
Exactly. Yes. I can tell you a story about my very second week playing VR, but it's X-rated, so I won't go there. But yeah, you can get deceived very, very quickly. And the avatar that you wear helps. It can be a tool to achieve the deception as well. And when it comes to this alien, if you're a sci-fi buff and love it, you kind of relate to it, you get fine. But at the same time, if you're kind of a little bit scared of things, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I think if I had made you as an avatar like this, I would have been even more reluctant to talk to you, probably. But that's because, so that's what I mean, every avatar creates a different reaction to everybody. We are all different at the end of it. So it's our life experiences, our personalities, that makes us react a certain way to something that we're looking at. So yeah, it's all very interesting.
Beautiful. Yes.
Excellent. Well, Umbar, it's been absolutely awesome talking with you. I think we got to know you a little better, and I hope everybody can follow on your example and be creative in VR and be an explorer, have a bit of a adventure out there, and come here and escape, the mundanity and the hard issues that sometimes we have in the real world. So you escape, you grow as a person, you become creative. It's been awesome talking with you. Thank you so much for doing this.
Happy to do so. Yes.
Excellent. Fantastic.
The
Yes.
adventures are endless.
That's
Yes.
right. Okay. Fantastic. That was very good. Thank you so much for doing this. This is really, really
Certainly.
good. I'm very happy with
Yes.
how it's gonna. Oh, Mr. Alien. Look,
Is me.
the only reason, let me just turn off this screen here. I was going to say that the only reason I'm okay with you looking like that is because I know who you are. And I've already related your personality to your voice. So you could look anything you want, well, within reason, of course.
I got something
yeah.
I was gonna show you.
Oh, no, please don't.
Yes. No. I won't.
Yeah.
Yes. Beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
So which one is your favorite
Yeah, my pleasure.
avatar?
Oh, that's a hard question.
Because I do notice that in your travels, you do have different ones that you put on depending on your mood, which is awesome. But which one is the one you say, this is me, this is kind of the essence of who I am? Or that you tend to... No, not that you are.
A wide variety, I think.
When I mean your essence, it's not I'm saying that this is what you look like. It doesn't have to look like you, but that you kind of relate to it for different reasons. Oh,
I think
big boy.
This one's... Yeah, this is the one I was for most of the interview. This one's the one that I've had probably for the longest, but I've had a lot of avatars that I like going to. The reason why on my content I'm always switching is because I've never felt like my content is about the avatar. I felt like if I was always the same avatar in my content, then what people they'd think that, but I don't want them to be thinking that. I want them to be thinking the world behind me. So I just try and change avatars to fit the world.
You're so smart about it. You really know what you're doing because you're so true. Honestly, no, and I'm not just trying to be, a flatterer for no reason. It is so true. The fact that you're trying to make it about the world, not about you. That is, it's a good way to see it.
When I see this avatar, I think Lily.
Yeah, yes. Or the other one, the one that you met me with, which is, I'll just change to that one. You probably remember. But it's actually very similar to this one. This is my original. This is the very first avatar that I bought that I like. That is, I feel it's me.
Yes, exactly. This one also feels you. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is the one I actually 100%. Joined you the first time.
Beautiful.
This is not just the original. I changed it to the colors that I like. I tend to like reds and things like that. So when I bought the new avatar, the one I was wearing before, I wanted to have the same sort of fabric so it relates that it's just a transition of myself. But when I see the avatar you were wearing for
that's why I wear this one a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, that's your new one. But the one
the
you were wearing before, when I see that avatar, I think of you. Yeah. But this is this is the beautiful, new you. This is the party boy.
I wear this one a lot lately.
Remember to subscribe today and turn on your notifications if you would like to join me on my next interview. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.